back to my channel. So today we will have a nice lesson. As you can see, it's a little bit rainy that day. It was actually quite sticky. It was really humid. So I believe it rained the same morning and it rained a few minutes before, but then it stopped raining for our whole lesson, thankfully. And it was just really hot and humid, so hence why the sand is so dark. But it was actually a great texture of the footing there, so it was actually quite okay. It's just that both Hazel and I were like sweating heavily. As you can see here, Hazel's a little bit impatient. We're just trying to set up the stirrups properly, as my coach lended me her saddle for me to try, just because my own saddle seems to no longer fit our needs, so it's not fitting Hazel properly anymore, and it's not fitting me as well. So we're just gonna try her saddle, and she also lended me a beautiful Bruno Del Grange bridle, which is a figure 8, to see how I like it as well. So as usual, when my coach is setting up our jumps, I am doing some warm-up, and I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about our saddle situation. So I had bought a saddle made by Vision Saddlery in Ottawa, and I had it fitted to Hazel initially when I owned her. Now her back has changed so much, it just no longer fits. So we're using an Ogilvy saddle pad, or half pad, sorry, in between. And we had added extra some padding in the back of the pad, so it, you know, stays a little bit more leveled. But we could tell that around the shoulders and the withers it's a little tight, like it's no longer fitting her. And when it comes to fitting me, my coach is just telling me that the saddle is making me perch over my horse. So it's not really ideal when we're trying to jump or anything like that. So she recommended that I actually look into a semi-deep seat saddle, so I can actually have a better riding position, and it will also be a little bit more comfortable for me, as my own saddle is actually pretty flat. So after some good warm-up, we're just ready to jump. My coach put a nice cavallari here for us. Once again, it's not really crazy high jumps, it's just really to get her over it, and also to kind of center herself, concentrate, and have the right position when she goes over a jump. Eventually, we'll be able to add an extra jump, or just put the jump a little higher. Obviously, my horse knows how to jump. She's jumped before, but it's just that we want to really perfect the technique before we move on to like bigger jumps, or before we start adding anything. So today our focus is really to be a little bit more finished when we actually get over the jump. So Hazel sometimes takes the cavalier as a jump, sometimes she just cavalier it, she just like kind of trots over it, which is fine, but it's just we want to make sure that we get something a little bit precise. And if we land on the proper lead, like it happened just right there, we're just continuing and taking that on, so we can have actually some nice canter work as well. So the point is just really to be precise, aim for the center, for me to just like, you know, look at something and fix my eyes a little bit, and then make sure I bring her back in time. So that's something I still have a hard time, is that when we land the jump, I have to kind of collect her, like not right away but almost right away, and I have kind of a little bit of an issue with that. So I'm just, you know, my coach is just making it a little bit easier for me to work on that, because I do feel sometimes overwhelmed when I'm jumping, because there's so much little parameter you have to figure out. So you have to, you know, look at your jump, center yourself to the jump, make sure that, you know, your horse is picking up the jump properly, and then as soon as your horse lands, that's when you're supposed to collect it and make sure that your horse kind of picks up the right lead if ever they do. So as you can see, it seems like we're pretty successful this week if you compare it to the last week's lesson, where we had a lot of distraction and wasn't really able to collect her the right way before and after the jump. This time she's definitely more receptive and I can get a lot of things done. So the more the horse has self-carriage and can think for themselves and do a lot of things by themselves, it really kind of frees you from all of that charge, and then you're able to focus on yourself. So for me, I'm still not like 100% in my 2 points. I have to work on it. I still grab the martingale straps so I can actually just kind of fix my hands, and if ever I am to lose balance, I can just kind of lean on it and just, you know, get over the jump. Obviously this saddle is really helping us a great deal because we are definitely more balanced. It actually took me a hot minute to just really get used to how like different it is, just because I'm so used to be kind of leaning forward for some reason, and then now I'm just well balanced over the horse, so it's a little bit different for me. And I really like the fact that the saddle is actually giving you also a little bit of a support, because it is medium deep seat, so you kind of feel like hugged a little bit, so it's a little bit more stable for you as well. So we just changed leads, and as you can see, Hazel did really good. We had a little bit of an hesitation there, like I was going right next to the jump, but Hazel kind of thought we were taking the jump at the canter and got herself a little bit worried. Even though I put my legs to kind of ask her to keep going, we just got this kind of misunderstanding, so we stopped there. So we're gonna try again to get the right canter lead, and this time we did not get the right one, which is not a big deal. So I just kind of let her have a couple extra steps so I can actually get her to really step forward a little bit, and then just collected her a little bit. And now we're going at it again, but the jump is a little higher. So my coach suggested that I go all the way to the end and see if I can make her change lead before I turn around, and that's basically what happened there. I was able to get her to change her lead, and so we were able to move forward. So since that other side was actually really good, it was pretty much on point. We were just working on the weaker side here once more to make sure that we can get a good, consistent result. As you can see here, Hazel had just like a weird off moment. The poles on each side of the cavallette are different colors, and my coach says sometimes it really kind of triggers the horse a little different way, so they kind of, you know, see the big white line and get a little worried. So it's just really to kind of keep on going and just get them used to different color poles. It really shouldn't matter really, but I guess the white poles are really easy for the horse to see rather than the green ones. So working on being centered, and she did a lovely jump, and she also had a couple strides of the correct lead canter. It was just really beautiful. Sometimes I just get a little stuck in my head, and so I forgot to kind of encourage her forward if ever she lands on the proper lead, but it's not a big deal, so I'm just keep on doing the exercise. It's really important for the horse to be centered, but it's also important for the horse to really focus on the rider. And as you can see, Hazel's doing really good. She's being a really good girl when it comes to jumping, although sometimes it's a little exciting for her. She just really stays with me, and as you can see here, we just kind of broke one of the ground poles, but the pole was already half broken, so that's why it was like a little hard for me sometimes to gauge the distance, as if the pole is not complete. So there was one end that's missing, so it was a little hard to kind of just stay on top of it. But other than that, she did really well. Hazel really applied herself for how like sticky and humid it was. I was drenched, and I think she was as well drenched in the front, so you can see that she's sweating quite a bit. So we ended the lesson there a little bit sooner, just because Hazel was getting really hot. Everybody was sweating basically. My coach, even though she was just standing, she was just sweating for how humid it was, and I was also like super like soaked. So after this lovely ride, I of course gave Hazel a good rinse, which she really enjoyed. Like, she loves having some good cold water when she's hot like that. So I gave her a nice little kind of hose before she went to bed. So thank you guys again for joining us today in this lovely lesson that we had outdoors. I'm really super happy with the result that we got from that lesson. It seems like our jumping skills are getting a little bit more together, so we're able to actually execute things a little bit better. And I'm getting less and less overwhelmed. I'm learning a lot as well, so I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. And I hope that you guys learned something or at least enjoyed the lesson with me. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye for now.